we want our product people to be the best that they can be.
This is a new feature, I like this. And then they just pull the rug from under your feet and you think, oh, okay.
I think to completely bury your head and go, I'm not going to touch this is definitely the wrong move for anyone.
So I joined this team and it was a bit of a fast learning curve of understanding this is your role, this is where you sit in the business, these are the key things that you're going to do, the key meetings that you'll be involved in.
And the first thing they taught us was know your learner. And that always stayed with me because once you know who you've got in front of you, you can tailor your approach to them.
Welcome to the Life at Next podcast, both. It's great to have you on. And I guess we're here today to talk, like I said, about the Product Academy, because it's quite am I right in saying it's a big industry thing in terms of buying, merchandising, and, the fashion world it's a very, very established thing. So let's just start with that. What is it? What is the Product Academy?
You can kick us off.
Oh, thanks. So the Product Academy is the name for our graduate trainee scheme.
Okay.
It's a very structured training program that we split into time frames. So new starter, then 3 months, 6, 9, 12, with the idea that the trainee will learn everything they need to know about doing their job well in conjunction with the hands-on training they get on the job. And that will allow them to advance to an assistant buyer, merch, designer, or technologist at the end of the training period. Now, it's not a fixed amount of time. We say around about 12 months, but some are slightly quicker and some are slightly longer. It depends kind of on the where the vacancies are in the business.
Yeah.
But when I applied for this job, it was with a view to kind of revamping the training.
Nice.
So, as you say, Matt, in the industry, it is a very well known. It's kind of an institution. Next Training, people say go to Next for the best training, which is really lovely. And the team that were responsible for building that did a superb job. And my job was just to come in and kind of take it to the next level, make it kind of bigger and better with the help of the team. So, yeah, that's our training academy, our product academy.
In a nutshell.
Yes.
Yeah. So what are both your roles before we get into the details? Because I've got a few questions there. So what do you do, Fiona?
So I'm the product learning and development manager. My job's quite fluid. It kind of changed. It's kind of changed quite recently. So it was really clear cut. So I was responsible for kind of transforming the academy to make it bigger and better, and launching new e-learnings, launching new workshops. And now I'm kind of a lot more focused on AI for product.
Makes sense.
How we train out AI now, and how people in our product teams can use AI to make themselves more efficient and take away some of the heavy lifting that they do day to day. So whilst my title is Product Learning and Development, and I'm very focused on the learner, that has morphed slightly into a more technical role where it's more AI driven now. So if you ask me this in 6 months' time,
it'll be something
different. But that's kind of the nature of the business, isn't it?
Yeah.
You just got to, I always say, you just got to strap in and enjoy the ride, because you just don't know where it's going to take you. I mean, you're proof positive of that.
Yeah.
Coming from a PR background from when we first met, and now you're doing this. So
very, very different. Yeah, if you'd said back then when I was, like going to store openings and writing press releases, you're going to be hosting a podcast and talking to people in the business and learning about the business and finding out what Next really is about, would have been like, yeah, right. Yeah.
Jog on.
Yeah, jog on. And what about yourself, Jess? So you're part of this team, as well. And you're both part of this team, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so my role, I'm a product learning specialist. So essentially my role is to create, design, and then deliver the different aspects of that product academy. So whether that be writing content for buyers to help them with trade, or whether it's delivering a workshop on supplier negotiations, I kind of take whatever it is, the topic, and bring it to life, essentially.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a lot of kind of content creation, and then I spend a lot of my time delivering workshops to primarily trainees, but sometimes assistants as well, to kind of, help them along their way.
And my question is to both of you, and I'll go to you first, Jess. Why do we have this? Surely the people coming in, the trainees, they know all this, or did they not? Or what's the reason for doing it? Because some people who had never heard of it would be like, but didn't they go to uni to do that? Or didn't they already know that? Why are we doing it?
Yeah. So I think for me, it's about ensuring our people are the best that they can be. We ultimately at Next and for our product people, we want them to make the best quality clothes that are beautifully designed, that are responsibly sourced. We want our product people to be the best that they can be and drive success, whether that's kind of personal success for them in their own career or development, or whether that's for their team or for the business as a whole. So I guess it's just ensuring that when they come here, everyone has got that foundation of knowledge that ensures that they can thrive here, that they can excel here, and that, we want to keep the best people. We want people to come here and then stay here and have really long careers that are fulfilling for them, but also bring value to the business. So I think that's it for me, but you might have a different kind of opinion.
Yeah, I would say that not everybody comes in with a fashion background, especially in a role like merchandising. So we might recruit from business schools or people who have done history or geography degrees. If you were to ask the merchandisers, downstairs what they studied at university, you would be surprised at the variety. And I think that's great because it brings different skill sets in. So the fact that we train out the buying, merch and design and tech skills within the academy means that we have a wider pool to recruit from. So for example, I've got a business degree. Didn't know anything about, textiles or the technicalities of fashion manufacturing. And I came into the business with an understanding of business, and then I learned the rest on the job. If you've got a student that studied fashion textiles, they come in with a very specialised knowledge, and we can teach them some business skills as well. So it just kind of gives it a level playing field and allows us to recruit the very best talent, no matter where they're from. So what I would say to anyone listening who's thinking about maybe, I'd love to do that job, but I haven't got any fashion experience. It doesn't matter. That's what we're here for. That's why we've got this, shiny product academy that's going to teach you everything that you need to know alongside your team, actually in role. But don't worry about it. Apply anyway. If you've got something to give, I just had a love of fashion. That's all I had with a business degree, and managed to blag my way into a trainee buyer role.
So you came through it then?
Yeah.
You actually came through it yourself?
Absolutely, yeah. So fresh from university, I'd worked in store, and I didn't know what a buyer was.
Yeah.
I wanted to be a management consultant with a briefcase. I thought that was where I was headed. And I saw a sign in this staff room that said recruiting trainee buyers. I thought, why not? Let's have a go. So I went through the interview process, and because I worked at Next and I knew the customer and I loved the business and I'd studied business at uni and I genuinely had a passion for Next. I started when I was 16. I was able to blag my way into a trainee buyer role. So I did love fashion, actually. So it wasn't just,
You're probably underselling yourself there. Yeah.
Plucked from obscurity. I did love fashion. And so I got a trainee buyer role, and I did that for 13 years before then I left the business and then rejoined almost 2 years ago now.
Oh, wicked.
There's my career story without you asking.
What a journey, yeah. Well, you see how I segued it in there.
But I guess that's nice though, because you know exactly what it's like. You know the kind of fears that trainees will have, the anxieties. So you get it. You actually understand what we need to offer and what we need to provide for them to excel. Obviously, you're mental to that.
Sorry.
No, you go.
Because I remember the first time someone asked me to look at a lab dip, I was like, what? You say, what? It's this.
Yeah.
You just learn that on the job. So it's nothing to be scared of coming into a job like a fashion buyer or a fashion merchandiser if you don't have that experience. As long as you can demonstrate an interest and a genuine interest, don't blag it. But I did have a genuine interest in fashion. Yeah. So for me, it was the perfect mix for my skill set. So,
and is that something you have to do as trainers or being in that team as well? You're not just training, you are obviously training quite a lot of the processes and I guess how Next work, but also giving them the confidence and the, what's the word? Like you will know this better than me, like the not soft skills, but what's it called? Like the...
Yeah, we definitely do that. Yeah, I know exactly what you're trying to say. Yeah,
those skills.
Primarily, we're kind of looking at those business skills, your processes, systems, etc. But I do a lot of work with trainees on kind of the personal skills.
Yes,
so whether that be, learning how to present comfortably in trade or negotiations with suppliers, building resilience, the ability to, when your product doesn't sell or you think this range is amazing and then it just doesn't go how you expect, being able to go, okay, that's fine. What can we learn from that? What can we now move on to do? How can we keep going as a team? So yes, we do support with the process and the systems, but I think there's so much on the kind of soft skills development as well that we do support with. And being a trainee is stressful. You come into this role, next is fast paced. Everything that happens on the product floor can be really stressful at times. So I think we have to ensure that we're supporting trainees in that way as well. And I think we are really privileged, or I feel really privileged, to be able to work with them quite regularly over weeks, over months. You get to know them really well. You get to understand their personalities. And I think that's really lovely for us to build those relationships. And I think, from a training perspective, that's a real privilege for us to be able to be that support network for them that's away from their desk sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. Have you always been in like a training role then, Jess? Is that always been your bread and butter?
Yes, that's my background. So never worked in retail, never worked in product. So I joined this team and it was a bit of a fast learning curve of understanding
Baptism of fire.
everything to do with product. And I was the same. I didn't know what a buyer was. So I really had to quickly learn. But my background is very much learning and development, but in different sectors. So I've worked in the education sector, worked in the charity sector before here at Alzheimer's Research UK. So always been a kind of trainer, but for different kind of people, different audiences.
And what's the things you've both seen? Because how long you said you came back, Fiona and Jess, how long you've been in this?
Nearly 2 years.
So you've both been around, you've both worked together then for 2 years solid. What have been the big changes in that time period? Because I know, Fiona, you said there as well around, design and tech as well. And I remember back in the day, that wasn't something always that was considered either, but they are just as important in that product process, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So I think one of the biggest things we looked at when we were assessing the product academy, when we did our needs analysis, so what do we need to do to make it better, was our trainee merchandisers had a disproportionate amount of the training, and designers and technologists hardly had any. So it wasn't a level playing field. So we've addressed that, and Amy and our team has done incredible work writing lots of different pieces of e-learning, and she's done so much, hasn't she?
PDFs,
workshops,
documents, guides.
It's all there to be accessed. But training for designers is really ramped up. So has training for techs as well. And we're in the process of doing a tech academy because it's so specialist. So,
and by tech, sorry, just for people, you don't
course,
mean computer tech, you mean technologists.
I mean, they'd be very welcome to attend, but we might bamboozle them slightly. No, it's garment technologists who are responsible for the fit and the aesthetics of the garment, make sure that the quality's there. And our fabric techs who are incredibly innovative. They're looking at new fabrics and new finishes, new performance fabrics. So those are our techs. And I mean, we kind of probably unfairly lumped them together when we call them technologists. And we also have product techs on home who have an incredibly complicated job of, jobs can range from, furniture techs to curtains, so that their experience is so vast. So when we came to look at how do we train such a diverse group of people, we've enlisted the help of a very sort of senior tech manager to help us and write the material and basically redesign what their training looks like based on what they need, not what we think they need. And that's really crucial, is that we've spent 9 months researching what the business needs before we started to write anything.
Oh, brilliant.
And we
That's
started
really
off externally with market research and how is our training perceived externally. So we did lots of, we hired a consultant through our market research team internally, and she did lots of interviews and focus groups with students, with our competitors, employees, about what training they get. And the big thing, I think you were at the presentation.
Yeah,
it feels like a while ago now.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
But the biggest thing that came out of it was actually Next are industry leading with the training. We just don't shout about it.
Yep.
Now, does that sound familiar for next to do that? So it was our job to really work with early careers to promote. We have fantastic training, and we know that because we can prove that through our market research. That's not just us, making that up. We know that our training is industry leading, but early careers have done an amazing job to sort of take it out to universities and students and say, this is the training that you will get here at Next, and shout about it more, because we have done all this amazing work. But if no one knows about it,
100%,
it's not going to do any good in terms of our recruitment strategy. So we have to get better at shouting about it.
Yeah, 100%. And it is a benefit in a way, isn't it? Like, it's not a perk like, staff discount, but you're not going to get this type of training in one of those disciplines anywhere else to the same level.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And I think I've done research before on kind of the reasons why people seek out a job, but equally the reasons why people might leave a job. And learning and development is really high on both of those. The reason why someone might actually leave a job is because there's not those development opportunities.
Yes.
There's not that training support. So by offering it, we're retaining the best people in the business. But we're offering them something that they wouldn't get elsewhere. So it's a really attractive kind of offer that I think.
And do
we put together.
people actually progress as well? Because that's what I was going to say. Or do we just train them up and go, thanks for coming?
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Well, our retention is excellent. I mean, you have people on the podcast that are here for 30, 40 years. It's
Long time,
bonkers how long people stay in this business. And I think that is a lot to do with the culture, the opportunities, but the fact that we do invest in their development, and we are continuing to invest more and more and more, along with the talent and development team, who predominantly look after soft skills in the business, and they offer some great training. So we're kind of dovetailed with them to give like a 360 holistic training package.
Definitely. And I think what you said about it being structured is really key. So that in their first month, we're giving them the introduction to, this is your role, this is where you sit in the business, these are the key things that you're going to do, the key meetings that you'll be involved in. Then, 1 to 3 months, we give them the next set of things. So they're learning in a really, really structured way that's really clear.
Right. So you don't just chuck them in.
Absolutely. No. And then it kind of, I really think, helps them. It sets them up for success because we're giving them that really structured pathway that a lot of people will know from college or from university. They'll understand that way of learning and working. So I think we're trying to set them up for success so that they get to the end of this product academy and go, great, look at all this stuff that I've completed, look at all this learning that I've done this, and this, I've had all these check-ins, and they can prove that they're ready for that next step. And ultimately that would be an assistant, whether that's on their own team or on a different team and they move around the business. That's what we want. That's kind of the aim, I guess, of the academy, isn't it? Is that we give them the opportunity to do so.
Yeah, definitely.
And what drives both for you? Because just talking to you, in this brief time so far, you're both pretty passionate about this, right? But why?
But for me, it's giving people that light bulb moment of understanding something. And I know that when I joined Next and hadn't come from a product background, hadn't come from a retail background, and I walked in and was so overwhelmed by all of the systems, all of the different processes, different people, the different teams. I remember that feeling of just feeling completely lost. And I think if I can then make a difference to the trainees in the room, the people that I have in the room, and make them have that light bulb moment of, okay, now I understand that thing. Even if it's something small, it's one tiny thing, they leave the room or they go back to their desk and think about what they've learned and go, now I get it. That's what drives it for me. It's that really making a difference to someone. They go home and think, I've had a great day today because I now understand X, Y, Z. So I think I always want to make a difference to people, and it's a people job for you can really make that difference.
Yeah, and you do, definitely.
Oh.
It's really similar for me. I mean, the 9 years I had out of this business, I spent lecturing in fashion buying at university. And that was really, I felt like that was kind of my calling. So that's why I left here, was to go and do that. and developing students from the age of 18 when they're really green, and
Very green.
fresh.
Very green. Very
After a night
green.
out, they're very green. That's for sure. Yes. And they leave school and then they're in our hands. And it was like, oh, goodness me, I've got 3 years to shape this kid into an adult, really. And that was amazing. I did that for years. And I used to try and help them prepare for industry. These are the skills you'll need. It's all about resilience and all the, present well, get your point across. Don't be scared to, talk to people and show who you really are, be authentic. So when this job came up, it was like the next step. So the students that graduated that year, a lot of them came to Next on the trainee scheme, and I followed them. See them in the corridor. And they're like, oh, God, what are you doing here? I thought I'd got rid of you at uni. But what I've been able to do is follow them through on their journey from leaving school to becoming a trainee here. And a lot of them are now being promoted to assistants. Menswear, there's like Ellie and Harry, and I remember their first day at uni. So what drives me is making a difference, but also understanding the journey that they take as a school leaver all the way through to hopefully a grade 2 biomerch design tech, and seeing how I can play a small part in that progression and that development. That really excites me. And I have, we talk about let's take it on as being the North Star. For me, it's like the trainee and the end learner is my why. If I can give them like an amazing experience. So as an example, myself and CEO and the team were training out AI to product people. We have lots of nervous people that come into this room. This is, where we do a lot of the training. They're terrified. And the 2 hours that we spend with them, we've been told that it transformed how they feel about AI. And just that, marginal gains, if we can just make 1% of a difference to everybody we train, that's a big difference to the business. And that's super exciting. And like you, I feel privileged to be in this position, genuinely, that we're making a difference to how people feel about training and their training experience and their knowledge. And going back to their desk and they're saying, oh, I've just learned how to do this. And then they show someone. And for me, that advocacy where they get so excited that they show someone what they've learned, that's where you've made an impact. And you can't ask for more than that.
100%. I think what's nice about our job as well is we never stand still. Physically, but also, genuinely, we're always innovating because there's always something new. There's always a new system change, or, the introduction of AI has completely changed how we're having to train things. So we're always moving on. We're always doing things new. We're always having to think, what next? What's going to be the next thing? So I think it's really exciting because we never just stop and go, okay, we're done now. We've done the training academy. We're finished. It's, what's next? Where's the gap? Okay, Technologist needs that. We'll do that. Okay, design. We're always spotting those gaps and providing more and more.
And what trips could we send our trainees on? Like, where should we take them? What videos could we create?
Absolutely, yeah. So we kind of never stand still. It's always a moving.
But that makes it more interesting for you guys, right? Because I'm the same. Like, if a job was just like do the same, the same, I think you get I'd get pretty bored pretty quick.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
It's great for us, but it's also great for the trainees as well, because they're constantly getting newness. They're always getting something new to watch or something new to see, and we really do rely on feedback as well. I think that's another massive thing, is that, you mentioned that we created the academy based on what our trainees wanted. And it's the same for what we do now. Everything we create is based on someone saying, do you know what, it'd be really good if we had something on, top tips for trips. If I'm going on a trip, my first factory visit to, India or Bangladesh, what can I do to prepare? Great, we'll create some content for it. So we're always listening. We've got our ears on the ground, kind of we're always listening to what people want next. So we just always creating.
That's absolutely true. And an example of that is so many trainees said when they came into the business, they didn't know what to expect. Yeah. So we did a big piece on, this is your first week in the business as a technologist or as a merch, and these are the words that you'll hear. This is the terminology, because a lot of it is
next jargon.
Well, we love an acronym, right?
We love an acronym.
We love an acronym.
And it's so nuanced as well that could feel really overwhelming. So we try and break that down in a bit of a glossary about these are all the nonsense words you will hear. These are the meetings you'll be asked to attend. This is why we have these meetings. We even did something as simple as this is a calendar excerpt of a typical trainee buyer's week. Yeah. This is the sort of time that you'll spend doing approvals or speaking to suppliers or learning, with us. So that kind of, this is what your first month will look like, really broke down barriers, and it helped them understand what the expectations were of them. And I think, we've had feedback that that's really nice.
Yeah, definitely. Good start.
Yeah, I can see that working really well.
Yeah.
Like that would be for anyone.
Yeah.
Like, knowing what you're coming into and having that, if you're of a certain mindset as well, because some people, I've learned over the years that some people really like to know what they're walking into, like to be prepared. Some people just like myself. Like just to be like, I can walk into this. I've got this, but that's just different people, and that must be hard for you as well. You've got to tailor your approach and give people different things at different times.
Exactly.
Is that difficult as well? Yeah.
We have tricks up our sleeve to allow us to do that. So when I was at uni, I did my PGCHE teaching qualification, which was 18 months of dryness. It was very dry, but very useful. And the first thing they taught us was know your learner. And that always stayed with me, because once you know who you've got in front of you, you can tailor your approach to them. So it's about our prep. Who's signed up for this? Like what stage are they at? What are they doing? And really getting a feel for it. But going back to the AI training, for example, we have a really simple way of understanding where people are at. So we do what's called a knowledge confidence matrix. And it's just an axis that has confidence on one side and knowledge on the other. And we get people to come into the room and we say, okay, just rate yourself. Just pop your initials on this board, where you feel you are at today in your knowledge and confidence of AI. And time and time again, they bunch themselves up in the bottom lower corner.
Don't know nothing, not confident.
I'm not confident. And we say, right, guys, I want you to have a look at this. Everybody's in the same boat here. No one feels confident. No one thinks they know anything. Occasionally, you get the outliers who, might be using it a lot and have high confidence. And that's where you go, excellent. You can help with examples and you can kind of help me. Because no one's really an expert in it at this stage. It's so new. No. But that's where we then say, after 2 hours of training, re-rate yourself. And they move up the confidence and knowledge scale, and they can tangibly see where the training has impacted them, because they've moved from the bottom corner to, maybe midway up. And that for us dictates, well, we're in a room full of beginners. We're going to take it easy on them. They'll need lots of reassurance, lots of, help. They might not be very technically savvy. The confidence is clearly very low. So our job is to build the confidence. If they came in and they all had high confidence but low knowledge, our job is to build the knowledge.
Yeah.
So you can measure that really simply, and that's a really simple way to do that. We do have a few of those little tricks to understand who our learner is, but it is all about understanding them so that we can tailor our approach and get the best out of them.
Yeah, I think we're always having to consider that, aren't we? And in all of our workshops, we try where we can to balance different activities so that depending on your learning style, it's accessible for you. So, we try and use some video content, or we'll try and do group discussions where people can learn socially and collaboratively. We might do some reflection activities where they might sit and quietly think, so that people that prefer are a bit more reserved have that time for themselves. We try and use games. We do hands-on activities. So we try and balance all of our training with a mix of those things, so that depending on who you are as a person, you're still able to enjoy different aspects of that learning. So it can be quite hard to do that, but that's our job. We have to make sure that every single learner, regardless of who they are, leaves the room with that same knowledge as everyone else in the room. So.
And most of our trainees are Gen Z, and it's been widely reported that attention span of Gen Z is not great. Hence why, the shortened form of these podcasts do very well.
Do very well.
If you look at the kind of demographics, I'm sure it's probably a younger demographic. But that's where we have bite size, and we try and, like Jess said, right, let's do a game. Now let's watch a video. Now let's do this. Now let's do
You're
that.
almost like
Yeah.
pigs and
Yeah.
keeping them on that. Yeah.
And it's about looking at your learners and seeing where, if they start to dip. Right, guys, let's get on our feet. Let's all rank ourselves in terms of this, that, or, let's have a bit of a debate so we can really adjust our style to who we're teaching. It is a skill, but it's enjoyable. It's
Absolutely,
a great part of the job,
Yeah, it
being
really
able to
is.
do that.
And you've both mentioned there a couple of times AI. What's your view on it in your world or in the product world? How do you see it evolving? Because I know what you mean, like with the confidence thing. Everyone's got a perception, and there are a lot of people that are worried about it. But then there's also there's these other people that are like, this is massive opportunity over it. Like, this is just gonna, if you thought the internet was good, this is gonna be like. But what's your take on it? I'm quite interested to hear from people on that.
This is your bag, 100%.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, this is. You love it.
Well, I don't want to say that.
So you're confident and knowledgeable, or
I am kind of moving up day by day, actually. So I think it's important to say no one is an expert on
No.
this.
Yeah.
As soon as you think you've cracked something, Google turn around and take it away or change it, don't they? I mean, you know this, Matt.
They
You're like,
do.
oh, this is a new feature. I like this.
do.
And then they just pull the rug from under your feet and you think, oh, okay.
Or they just give you another tool on top of
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
tool that
Yeah.
makes that tool do this. And you're like,
Exactly.
what?
It's so unpredictable. And when we're in the middle of training, we always say AI is like a petulant toddler. Sometimes it does what you want,
Yeah.
but other times it just says no. And it doesn't. And you have to find a workaround. And it can be very unpredictable. So going back to your question about what do I see the impact is, I think that can be best answered by saying to our product people, if I was to free up 4 hours off your week, what would you do? And I've asked that question. And they say things like, I'd spend more time building supplier relationships, or I'd get out to the shops and I'd see what our competitors are doing, or I would spend more time developing my team, or I would be looking more at trends. So it's much more of the creative stuff, relationship building, actually creating things, people-oriented, that they want to have the time to do. Things that AI can't do, because I always say AI is two things, is dumb and it has no taste. So there's no way that the designers in this business need to be worried about their job, because some of the things that AI creates is questionable.
Yeah.
So I think as long as our product people can answer that they have something that they would fill that 4 hours with, AI will not take the jobs. It will just give them those 4 hours where they can do the nice stuff. They can use their talents, their taste, and build relationships. So it's kind of a co-pilot that will do the heavy lifting.
Definitely.
That's where we want to get to, because we are working with teams to understand what their pain points are day to day, where we think, well, could we use AI to help reduce the amount of processes, or could we use AI to generate an image for the supplier so you don't have to describe it in an email and things like that.
Yeah.
If that saves you time, what are you going to do with that time? You're going to do on your wish list the things I've just mentioned.
I love that.
Yeah. And it's like saving sampling costs and stuff, exactly like this.
Yeah.
Generating images. Instead of creating a sample, you could just have an image of it rather than having to have the cost of creating a sample.
And shipping it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
So yeah, there's kind of time benefits, cost benefits.
Exactly.
But yeah, I think there's that quote, isn't there, that AI isn't going to replace people or replace people's jobs, but those who use AI will replace the ones who don't.
Yeah.
Because it's a fast moving world, like where everyone is going to at some point.
Yeah, I
have to
totally
jump
agree
on
with
it.
that. I totally agree with that. I think to completely bury your head and go, I'm not going to touch this is
Yeah.
definitely the wrong move for anyone.
Yeah.
I totally get that some people are like, where the hell do I start?
Yeah.
But I think I imagine it was a bit like when the internet came around and some people were like, I'm never going to touch this.
Yeah.
Why do we need this?
Yeah,
Like,
why do I need to go
Yeah.
on and, send people emails? I could just ring them and it's,
absolutely,
like,
yeah.
We are seeing really interesting behaviour shifts, though, and I start the AI training with a group discussion, and you learn lots about how people are using it. And I've found out through talking to people, and we've trained over 700 people in product now, so we've got a good idea of how people are using it. They are actually abandoning Google in favor of Gemini and ChatGPT, and they're not asking questions of Google anymore. They're
You
asking,
mean Google, like Google search?
the actual search engine. So what they're getting quite cross if they ask Google search engine a question and they're getting a list of websites. They're like, no, I don't want that. I don't want to do the the work. I want the answer. So they're actually using Gemini and ChatGPT to ask a question instead of the Google search. So we're actually seeing a behavior switch now, and I'd be really interested to understand more about that, just from a kind of being a bit of a geek about it. But the other thing we talk about is AI is free at the moment. Okay, so obviously we're lucky enough in this business to have an enterprise account because it's secure. But ChatGPT is free, and we have this discussion about, are people going to actually start paying for it? And then I say, right, so let's look at Disney Plus and Netflix and Amazon Prime. And I mean, hands up, who's got a subscription? 100% of the people put hands up. And I say, well, why wouldn't, we're becoming hooked on AI, which the reason it's free at the moment is because they want everybody to use it. It's training their models to get better because we're all using it. But the other thing it's doing is hooking us into, oh my goodness, this is so convenient. I can use this instead of Google. And then they're going to say, if you want all this functionality, you've got to pay for it. And we're used to the subscription model. We are so used to it. I bet everybody that listens to this subscribes to Spotify, or at least one
something.
So AI, I think, like speaking to people, that's where we're going next with that.
That'd be a right shame though, because obviously I always forget his name, the guy who invented the internet, the whole point he invented it was access to information. And AI does feel like a move on of that. It's a bit more intelligent and, like you said, refine the information and gives you more succinct answers. And to then almost put a price cap on that would be such a shame, but at the same time wouldn't be a surprise if that happened, because like I've even seen things recently where even people are now using it to shop, so you can actually shop from AI through some brands and stuff like that. So it's a real whole new landscape out there. And like you say, at the moment it's nice and open and free because everyone's finding the feet. But once it gets settled, I think,
Well, I mean, there's so much you can do. Talking about shopping. So I took a mugshot and uploaded it to AI and said, could you tell me what season I am and what colours I should be wearing? And I want you to make a colour chart and a mood board. And then I put that into Google and it threw up things that I should buy.
This is what Fiona does in her free time.
Yeah.
And then I went home from work.
And bought it all. I think you bought it
No,
all.
I didn't do that in work. Spending all my money. So. It's research.
Research. Yeah. We won't let anyone else say
it's
otherwise.
Just finding, isn't it? It's finding the opportunities where we can use AI in the right ways. And some people are using it for everything and anything and are happy with that. Some people are not finding anything to use it for and getting frustrated. And I think it's just, we're on that learning curve journey of just finding out where's the right place to use it, the best place to use it, the most effective way to use it. And it's going to take some time to get there. And we have to kind of persist and, keep going and keep questioning and keep being curious to find the where's it going to help, where doesn't it help, and just find those opportunities.
And that curiosity piece is something that we say that curiosity will take you further than a 2-hour training session ever will. So what we're essentially trying to do is just to light a little spark of curiosity. And that curiosity, when you go back to your desk, I wonder if I could use AI to recolor that sample, or I wonder if I could use AI to do this. And if people can be curious, that's what's going to lift the business up and move it on.
It's about having that idea, right? You still want people to have the idea and then almost use that as a soundboard. Maybe before you go, oh, I'll shout about it, you go, oh, by the way, could we do this? Oh, that might work. Here you go. And then you're like, oh, look at this.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's what makes ultimately the best trainees, isn't it? Is the ones that are curious and try something and go, oh, let me just give this a go. I've got this idea, and they speak up about it. That's what we're looking for in business. Really people important. That contribute and speak up in meetings and raise the questions that maybe everyone else is thinking, but no one's got that confidence to say. Taking that initiative to speak out, that's what we want. It's what we're trying to train people to do, is to speak up, have that confidence.
Yeah, and be heard.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you're going to kind of pass on, like, say, hopefully we've got loads of people at uni being like, oh yeah, I know Fiona, or oh wow, I'll check this out. What's one bit of advice you'd pass on around the Product Academy, around working at Next? What's one thing you'd want them to take away from this?
For me, anything is possible. I truly believe that. Like, you come into this business and you might be coming as a trainee technologist, and then you might think, oh, I'll move to home, and oh, I like this product area. Oh, I might want to then go and do a secondment at a supplier. So it's almost like come in with an open mindset and think anything is possible, because I came in as a trainee buyer, and then I was seconded to go and head up the Olympics project for 2 years with one of, you remember that, Matt?
I do remember that.
I think you got roped into that as well, didn't you? Quite a few
that,
people in this business got roped into it. And I didn't have any project management experience. I was on the phone to the director saying, yeah, I'd love to. You know, the old Richard Branson quote, say yes and then figure out what the heck you're doing afterwards. That was me. And but I realised so much of the skills that you learn working in product are transferable. You know, if you can get a range into store, that's a massive project. You already have project management skills. They're not called that, and you just don't realise.
Yeah.
So it is possible to then pivot into another role. And this business is so full of opportunities that actually you might come in as one thing, but if you are open-minded and you can help spot opportunities and you like to learn, you could go into any sort of function, any role. Like, who knew that I would be training out AI? Like, last year, I didn't even know what AI stood for. It's literally, and here I am. Like, I know now, I would just like to say that.
Yeah, caveat that.
Yeah. But yeah, literally anything is possible.
Yeah, I agree with that. What about yourself, Jess?
So I met a trainee the other day who, in one of my training sessions, it was all around resilience. We were talking about resilience.
Big.
And he'd said, I applied to be a trainee 3 times, got in on the 3rd time, but I was declined the first 2 times. I said, how did that make you feel? And he said, well, it made me feel really rubbish. Obviously, I was desperate to be a trainee here. It's all I ever wanted. And I kept that persistence. And I think for me, for him, that kind of failure only motivated him more.
Nice.
And I think in product, that's super important, because we produce some ranges that maybe don't work, or we have a product that flops, or we buy too much of it, or we all make mistakes all the time. So I think for me, it's having that resilience to then pick yourself up and go, yeah, it's okay. Tomorrow's a new day. Let's try again. We'll do it better next time. What can we learn from that? I think that's the key thing for me, is failure is important. What can we learn from it? How can we move forward? And I think we do that all the time. We run sessions that don't work, or, you know, we don't get the vibe that we want, or we don't get the questions, or people don't feel that engaged. We go, why? Okay, what was it? What can we do more of? So yeah, for me, it's around that failure is really important, and that it should only encourage that more motivation, I guess.
Love it. Well, thank you both for coming on. That's it.
I'm sad to finish.
You've survived. You've survived the Life at Next podcast. But no, it's a really, really important part, because, you know, again, product's the core, obviously, of what we do here. Yeah. You know, if we haven't got clothes, we don't do a lot of things.
Yeah, we're cold. Yeah.
But no, thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you for having us.
Enjoyed it. Thanks for having us.